those who say Israel Kamakawiwo'ole had the voice of an angel. His music and his life inspired friends, fans, and fellow musicians. He will live forever in the songs of the islands and in the hearts of the people. Tonight, we pay our last respects to Israel.
Here in this paradise.
And now, a KGNB 9 News special report. Remembering is.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jade Moon.
And I'm Jim Dindal. Tonight, the chronicle of life and death of an island icon. A man whose stature in our community was so great that tonight several thousand people are expected to be at his service. Friends, fans, and family all gathered at the state capitol with heavy hearts to say a final goodbye to Israel Kamakawiwo'ole. This is a live picture from the Capitol where, at the family's request, the entertainer's body is lying in repose, an honor previously granted only to Governor John Burns and to Senator Spark Matsunaga. So how is it that a one-time poor boy from Palolo is sharing a place in history with two of modern Hawaii's greatest figures?
Well, the answer lies, of course, in part with the overwhelming popularity of his music, and in part with his ability to reach the people with his message, especially Hawaii's keiki. KGMA 9's Mahealani Richardson will have that report in a moment. But first, the musical path that led to the creation of a real-life Hawaiian Superman.
I know that I won't live forever, but forever I'll be loving you.
Israel's journey in this life began on May 20th, 1959. He was the third of 4 children of Henry and Evangeline. They were a family big in stature and big of heart, and they were blessed with a gift for music.
Everybody in our family actually is in some way musically inclined. Everybody sings, everybody plays the ukulele, guitar, and stuff like that. And of course, you know, whenever we're at luau's, everybody entertained. So Skippy and Israel just grew up with it.
I spoke with people who knew him and watched him grow up. His uncle, his cousin, and his best friend. They describe a boy who may have had a sweet voice, but the kid was no angel.
I was loved by you.
One of the rottenest, spoiled kids that I ever saw in my life. I swear.
But Iz had another side, a side that made him an easy person to love.
This song, ladies and gentlemen, goes out to everybody out there, in here, around, on the side, on top, and most of all, underneath. Aloha.
He was one of the nicest, giving persons that you're ever going to know.
He would sit down and people would just come around him, and he made friends in no time.
Even at that age?
Even at that age.
Sam Gray, his Hanai brother, says they did the things boys in Hawaii do. Checked out girls, hung out at the beach, went to school, sort of. Iz never graduated.
There was one problem. He was lack, I think, a credit or two, and from what I understand, there was a song that he was supposed to finish that he would have gotten that credit. He finished the song, but it wasn't up to standards.
He wrote the song, but he didn't get his diploma. Why not?
Well, it was, the name of the song was Pakalolo Tip of Your Feet.
They didn't like that.
They didn't like that.
But always, there was music. In 1976, they were just kids in their mid-teens when they formed the group that made them famous, the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau.
They developed their own sound.
Absolutely.
Pretty young.
Absolutely.
And it was this woman, Jackie Skylark Rossetti, who first recognized their potential and got them their first big break.
I invited the boys to come up and record a few songs. That night we recorded a Ku'u Morning Dew that the Sons of Hawaii had just released, and another song. And I knew then that these boys had some wonderful potential as they launched on their new career.
It's a way that they come across on stage. That's what's really important. And I think it's a magic. I mean, if you put it in one word, it's a magic.
There was magic, but there was tragedy. Bad luck and bad health were the twin curses of the Kamakawiwo'oles. Henry died of cancer. Evangeline and baby sister Leilani had bad hearts. And then there was Skippy.
Skippy and Israel was two opposite brothers. Everything that Skippy liked doing, the brother Israel wouldn't like. Completely opposite. Everything that Israel did, Skippy didn't like. And they would always butt heads. But Israel always knew that Skippy was the oldest brother, and he had to respect Skippy.
Skippy was the driving force behind the sons. When he died, only Israel and Lydia were left. Israel tried for a while to be the same spoiled rascal boy, but two things happened. He got married, and in 1993, he broke with the sons, yet another separation from those he loved.
And you could see a big change from that time of the Kaleialoha Israel to the humble Israel, changing exactly what I remember Skippy to be. That's the way Israel became. Big change.
So he took the best of his brother. He grew up.
That is a very kind word for Israel. He grew up. He grew up. And I loved him for that. Big change. Big heart.
But ultimately, being big brought a premature and tragic end to the career of this beloved man. But his music and his memory are destined to live on.
In this life, I was loved by you. In this life, I was loved by you.
I said I'll be money for that is the big man himself. I said I wanna be like you.
The keiki of Hawaii had a special place in Israel's heart. He often gave free performances at schools, and people who knew him say he was always joking with the kids, always showing them he cared.
Some of the kids out there, they don't have as what everybody has. And for ears come out and just do, a concert free, makes anybody happy.
He was deep into the Hawaiian culture. That's why for us young guys, he taught us where we came from.
And that's why the kids who loved his are returning his aloha with signs and songs of their own.
Johnny Mahoy, I know that song. One day there was a black shirt in the blue and the red. The time was over. Johnny laid.
Many of these children never met the famous singer, but they say they understand that he too went through rough times.
Or like his song, In This Life, he talked about his life, and how he grew up and stuff. Whenever he sings, I don't know, it's like he gives me chicken skin, like he's telling the truth or something, I don't know. His songs is so good, and now he passed away and gone, and just sad.
He inspired us for starting us to be yourself, be somebody. You don't have to act or be somebody that you're not, just be yourself. It's not the person what they look like, it's the heart inside that makes them somebody. And that's what it's all about. When he's died, he doesn't just hit people from Hawaii, but the whole state of Hawaii.
The life of this Aina, this land, is perpetuated in righteousness for you and I, the people of Hawaii.
Now, in many ways, Iz's message to the children and others was to respect and trust who you are.
And for many of those he reached, never again would be the same.
If it wasn't for him, my life wouldn't be complete. He kind of filled in the spaces that it was empty in my body.
I remember listening to his music, and it felt like he was trying to reach out to me, and like just kind of like reaching out to everyone and trying to help them out.
He was like, I don't know, someone I could look up to, yeah. Like I could follow in his steps. Like give us dreams, yeah, as kids, that we could hope someday be someone great like he is, yeah.
Some of Israel Kamakawiwo'ole's success can be attributed to his size. An exceptionally large man with an extraordinarily sweet voice is hard to forget. But his size also killed him. KGMB's Sandra Sagisi has the story of how chronic obesity tragically choked the life from a 38-year-old man.
Despite the challenges of morbid obesity, Iz was always on the move. He excelled in music, and playing the ukulele was his therapy.
If something's going bad that day, it kind of takes me out of reality for a while, you know? And it gets me ready to face reality again and put it back in the case.
At 700 pounds, Iz once told me he felt as if he were imprisoned in his own body. His never-ending goal was to lose 300 pounds. He constantly lost weight, but as quickly as it was gone, it would return.
The one, the only, the ultimate Hawaiian Superman.
Through all the personal pain he suffered, Boda Iz always managed to make the world better for others.
He broke all odds by living and being mobile and singing and taking the messages of Hawaii all the way around the world.
Getting around every day was a tour. He often jokingly referred to himself and people of his size as Hawaiian small.
They don't make theater chairs for fit us guys, you know? And then, you know, for walking in a mall, it's tough, bro. You know, I can walk, no problem, you know, sit down, rest in a while, walk, you know, some more. But it's also tough on the mind, because with people of my size, you know, regular people, but they look at you like you from space or something, you know? And, you know, you cannot blame them, you know? They're not used to seeing, you know, people of my size, you know?
As the years rolled on, Iz began spending more and more time off the stage and in the hospital. He had constant problems with his poor legs. This form of exercise gave Iz a sense of freedom.
Israel Kamakawiwo'ole spent some time doing pool therapy. It helped him to relieve the pain and discomfort of walking while he was in the water. One of the complications of morbid obesity is that the victim's legs retain water, and they are prone to infection.
Morbid obesity can lead towards pulmonary problems.
Dr. Ed Chan of the Queen's Medical Center was one of numerous physicians who treated the Hawaiian superstar as he battled obesity.
And over a course of time, this leads towards heart failure. The heart will get enlarged, and then it will reach a point that it cannot pump sufficiently, and the heart will fail with more fluid retention. Obesity is a sickness, and we need a team approach to this. This includes a nutritionist, probably psychological counseling, and if possible, a personal trainer, together with family and friends support.
I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand on a white sandy beach of Hawaii.
For Boda Iz, it was his lungs that finally failed. Because despite being overburdened for most of his life, his heart was just too big to give up the fight.
Psychological counseling, and if possible, a personal trainer, together with family and friends support.
I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand on a white sandy beach of Hawaii.
For Boda it was his lungs that finally failed. Because despite being overburdened for most of his life, his heart was just too big to give up the fight.
He survived us all. He's living up there smiling, playing music, and jamming the rest of the Hawaiians with his brother and Gabby and everybody. He's smiling on us.
Sound of the ocean rocks me all night long.
Who knows how much Iz really suffered living with all of that weight, knowing all the while that he was slowly dying. But despite his deteriorating health, Iz told KGMB9 photographer Christopher Skapik that he wasn't afraid to die.
I guess it's gonna sound kind of weird. I'm not scared for myself for dying, because I'm not. Because I believe all of these is all temporary. This is just one shell. Because we Hawaiian, we live in both worlds. I don't know if you can relate to this. We cannot help it, but it's in our veins. It's the cocoa that flow in our body. We cannot help it. You know, we live on both sides. So, that's okay for me. But plant one tree, the couple in the park, in the middle of the park where they play soccer. Go plant one cocoa tree over there for me, because I'm big, but and well, plant one small, and I'll go big. My name is Kamakawiwo'ole. Hawaii's like us. Hard for finding like us. You could never find another Hawaiian like me.
Once again, we are live at the state capitol, where a memorial service for Israel Kamakawiwo'ole is beginning in the rotunda in about 40 minutes. His body will lie here for public viewing until around 10 o'clock tonight. And if you can't make it there, a second memorial service will be held tomorrow at Borthwick Mortuary, and that's at 11.
Now, some people have criticized the governor for extending permission to Iz's family for this event, but others say it's the appropriate place for a man who in many ways personified the Hawaiian spirit. His friends say when they open a dictionary and they look up Aloha, they expect to see Iz's face. And that might be just the most significant reason he was loved so dearly by so many. And even those close to him were stunned by the outpouring of emotion the day the musician died.
7:46, good morning. It's FOL at your morning jam.
You could feel the pain.
Brother Israel Kamakawiwo'ole died at 12:18 this morning at the Queens Medical Center.
As the news spread,
It's hard to do a show when you can hear the emotion of the callers that are crying on the phone. I got grown men crying and I got women crying in the background. It's losing Israel is like losing a personal family member to a lot of people.
vigils were organized in the only way that seemed fitting. Israel Kamakawiwo'ole was just a singer, but he had a gift he shared with his brother Skippy. For when he sang and when he talked, it came straight from the heart.
Israel had a way of sending a message across that he never, he touched everybody. And it wasn't only adults, you know, it was the kids.
Small kids, this guy is massive. Small kids just come up to him and he could talk to them, they'd talk on the same level. Then a kupuna would all of a sudden, oh boy, how are you? He would talk to them on their level.
He could adapt. He could talk to people on a level they could understand and appreciate.
Del Beasley wrote songs for Israel, songs he knew no one else could do in quite the same way. And he says nowhere was the Kamakawiwo'ole magic more evident than when he visited the Waikiki Music Festival.
People were skanking and dancing and everything. Then the Makaha songs of Mikaha came out. And Israel was in the front. And the people just flocked to the stage. I mean, just like sheep. And they just stood and they swayed. People cry. Just listening to Hawaiian music, you know. And just, he had the magic, man.
But the Kamakawiwo'ole's secret was not in the notes or the special effects. It was simply his.
It comes down to soul. It just comes down to his being. That's what the music comes down to. What he felt, how big his heart was, and how much aloha he put into it.
He would close his eyes, get in touch with himself, get in touch with the spirit, get in touch with the song and the message. And that in itself would be bigger than eye contact, you know, much bigger.
And the singer knew people were listening, so he left messages in his music: stay away from gangs and don't abuse drugs. But even further down was a simpler message.
If you do good, you treat people with aloha, you know, you get the same thing back. And if everybody started doing that, what a wonderful place Hawaii would be. Israel understood this. He understood how the culture and the music all mixed together. If you can get people thinking the right way, gee, what a paradise this place would really, really be. And he understood that, and he saw that in the culture and the music. And for a lot of Hawaiians, that meant a lot.
It wasn't only Hawaiians listening to Israel's words and his songs. His music and message crossed all cultural and racial boundaries and went directly to the heart.
And it's from the heart that people are now expressing their affection for a man they simply called his.
The thing I remember most about him down the years is just enjoying life, respecting each other, and don't forget the Hawaiian ways.
To have someone like Iz pass away before future generations could meet him and hear him, you know, it's just a loss. With Gabi Pahinui gone, you know, Iz is just another, just like a legend in our hearts now. And future generations will never, you know, get to hear his music live, and that's where he really felt his love.
The mourners of Israel Kamakawiwo'ole continue their pilgrimage to the state capital. That's the view you're seeing now. 15 years ago, it was his brother Skippy for whom Hawaii wept. Skippy's ashes were scattered at Makua Beach, and on Saturday, Israel's ashes will join his brothers in a public ceremony that begins at noon. If you're unable to attend any of these memorial services, you can still express your sympathy to Israel's family by sending a card of condolence or a letter, and here's the address. Post Office Box 308, Aiea, and the zip code is 96701. That's Post Office Box 308, Aiea, Hawaii, 96701.
A few final thoughts now. The life of Israel Kamakawiwo'ole wasn't all music and mana and magic. As even his family told me, Iz wasn't perfect. He was a high school dropout, a former drug user. He fought and lost a battle with morbid obesity. But people took him into their heart in spite of all that. Because of those problems, Iz rose above his troubles and asked his followers, especially the kids, to learn from his mistakes. Now, he told people he had abused drugs, and it was not the answer. And he told youths that a rag was not for displaying gang colors, but to wipe your brow. Many of them listened. And that might be his greatest gift to the people of his beloved Hawaii.
True giant in every sense of the word, Brother Iz transcended the music world and became a permanent part of the fabric of our island community.
Iz was pure Hawaii, and with his passing, a part of all of us is gone. Thanks for watching. Until we meet again, aloha and good night.
I'll remember. God bless Josie Boda. Yes.